we totally talked to you and got all your comments about where the economy is, the steps we've taken, the PPP, what else we need to do, and Powell's comments about, we can't reopen without a vaccine. Then we got the Moderna news. So it shouldn't change that much because it's early, but it does show how important science is going to be in dictating how we reopen and how we recover from this.
Yeah. Well, look, I think Chairman Powell's comments last night were very interesting. And remember, he also said he was fairly optimistic on the resilience of the U.S. economy, which is a comment that we've heard from a lot of people lately. And look, we see relatively positive numbers coming back. I think Kevin Hassett referred to it. But if you look at gas consumption or you look at credit card swipes, transactions, we're starting to see more and more positive uptick in the economy almost every day right now. And I think we've got about 48 states in the United States open, which does lead us to the question that Powell talked about last night, is he did not rule out more fiscal response. The question is, what should the fiscal response be? Are we still responding to the crisis by itself? Or should the fiscal action be more in a recovery mode and getting people back into the workforce and getting people back into the labor force and more normalizing our economy?
But, Gary, just the timing of a vaccine or a therapeutic could make a big difference on how much more Congress and the administration needs to do. Wouldn't you perhaps delay spending another $3 trillion or so if you thought that that we weren't going to be in this mess for another year or so? I mean, it makes a difference when we come out of this, what we do.
Joe, look, I am rooting as loudly as anyone and everybody for a vaccine. The vaccine is sort of the holy grail here. That said, there has been damage done. And think about what our actions have done so far. So far, we've put in place actions to support unemployed workers, justifiably. We put in actions to support small and medium-sized businesses and large businesses. The part of the equation that we have not helped cities and states and hospitals, which is almost more important. I'm not trying to help cities and states get back to a solvent financial position. I would like to get hospitals and states back to a financial position they were in 60 days ago. And then those that were in good shape 60 days ago will be in good shape, and those that were in trouble 60 days ago will still be in trouble. But the cities and states were part of the process of shutting down and telling people to remove themselves from the economy. The last point is we have to get money back to our hospital system. I don't care if you're a large, major metropolitan hospital or a small rural hospital. In fact, if you're a small rural hospital right now, you're in a deeper financial trouble than the larger hospitals. Remember, we also have had all of our hospitals shut down from their normal business activity. And therefore, their revenue or cash flow has almost come to a halt. The only revenue they've had is treating COVID patients, which in terms of all the equipment and all the people they have there doesn't really cover the cost. And our hospital system is losing an enormous amount of money. So we are going to have to get some money back to the hospital system if we want to have a hospital system that looks like it does today.
All right, you see where we are between Republicans and Democrats with another package. You actually you've got some experience trying to bring those two sides together, and it finally happened. But how would you approach this now? What would you tell Speaker Pelosi? What would you tell Mitch McConnell? How should we get to where you want to be here?
Well, I think the first thing is we have to agree on, or they have to. Let's put it this way. They have to agree on what they're solving for. Are they solving for keeping people at home and continuing to flatten the curve and having that response to COVID-19? Or are we solving for recovery? And those are completely different pieces of legislation. And again, if we decide, and I'm sort of in this camp, if we decide we're solving for the recovery, a lot of the actions that can be taken to help solve for recovery, again, can fall on the states and the cities, and it may mean getting money to states and cities as you try and incentivize people to come out of their house and spend money once again. The states and cities can have influence in that. They can give tax holidays, sales tax holidays. They can do lots of things to make goods and services more affordable or have your purchasing power go further.
Andrew.
Hey, Gary, though, but, as a New Yorker, how afraid are you that the federal government, and given the political landscape, is going to be have a very difficult time handing over federal money to help states, especially states that certain politicians are going to look at and say, maybe they're being too sensitive, maybe they're being too tentative about opening up?
Look, Andrew, I think the federal government is the federal government. They're supposed to look at one size fits all. If it's good for one state, it's good for all states. I really don't think this is as much of a red-blue issue as people are making it. The reason it's been talked about as a red and blue issue so far is the blue states are some of the larger populated states, so you see the impacts much quicker. So you see the decline in sales tax and income tax revenue in a place like California and New York quicker than you see it in a Kentucky or a South Dakota. But all of these states have the exact same problems.
You think these other states have the same problems that New York has? I mean, we both know that that's impossible. Right now, New York, California have much greater problems than some of these other states do, in part because they haven't had the virus nearly as badly.
They don't.
That's why I do think it's going to become a political hot potato.
So look, every state, you're right. There's states that have not had the virus as badly, but almost all of the states have had economic impact because of the virus. Even if your state was spared, your state may export things out of your state to other states, and if those states aren't buying, it doesn't matter. There is an effect throughout the whole country. You may not have had as many unemployment claims. You may not have had as many health care costs, but you've had some. You've had substantially more than you had at the beginning of the year, and your ability to operate in a normal fashion was clearly hampered by the larger population that was taken out of the economy.